I think if there's one thing we can agree on, the Wheelies and I, it is that The Wheel of Time is a magnificent story full of wonderful characters, magic moments, and all kinds of crazy events that'll never get out of your head. One thing, it also has a lot of really, really bad covers, and we're going to talk about them now. Hey, what's up, bookworms and wheelies? Mike back again to talk a little Wheel of Time. I know it's been a little while. I kind of needed a little break after last show was basically the Wheel of Time channel, so I needed a little break from that, but I never really stopped thinking about that wheel turning, right, guys? So something that came up recently is I'm going to be talking about more Wheel of Time the closer we get to the television series adaptation. I think it's unavoidable. It's going to be something that's going to be a lot to talk about one way or the other, either if it's really good or if it's really bad. I think that there's going to be plenty to talk about on the channel. So I want to kind of get back into the swing of things with Wheel of Time, and I thought a nice way to do that is to talk about these Wheel of Time covers. Now, I'm talking about the U.S. editions. I know there are lots of different covers. I see people on the Discord that are on the other side of the pond that flash a lot of covers. I'm like, wow, so everyone has better covers than us, right? But a lot of the discussion over these covers. Now, look, this is meant to be fun. I know that Wheel of Time fans get very, very sensitive whenever I say anything that isn't just like over-the-top glory about it. This has nothing to do with what's on the pages inside, okay? I am just trying to have some fun here and talk about some of these covers because, look, a lot of them are historically bad. They are really, really bad, and we're going to talk about them here. So, again, if you feel like you got a thumbs down me because I talked about the Wheel of Time in a negative way, I think that I've done nothing but talk positive, mostly about Wheel of Time on this channel. Just go back and look. So if you really feel like you got to do that, hey, it is what it is. But again, I try not to take this too seriously. I'm just having a good time here. We're going to do something a little different here. Usually in something like this, I'll go from the least best to the very best. But since I feel like there are way worse covers than really, really great ones, we're going to do it backwards. We're going to go best to worst. So are you ready, Luz Theron? Let's buckle up here and kick it off. I think since there's no mystery surrounding this, a lot of people know that my favorite cover in this series is the Path of Daggers, which is ironic because it's my least favorite book in the series. But look, to me, I think that cover, it's the most Lord of the Rings looking cover to me. It really does. The whole crown of thorns with the shrubbery growing around. That happens in I think Return of the King. It's really reminiscent of that for me. And I think that a lot of this series was kicked off by, hey, if you liked Lord of the Rings, you're going to probably like this. In fact, the first book is very much Lord of the Rings-ish. But I think that the series had definitely found its own way at this point by far. I mean, I think it started that way in book 2. But with this cover, it's just like, I don't know if it's because I just got to the point where I thought a lot of these covers were just absolutely cornball, but this one is just absolutely stunning. I'd love to have just a printout of this and just hung up there above my books because it's just an absolutely magnificent cover. Far and away my favorite thing that Mr. Gerald Sweet actually did for the Wheel of Time. That means it's a number 2, which is the only non-Gerald Sweet cover here. This one's done by Michael Whelan, who is just a wizard at this, and that is A Memory of Light. Just seeing Calendar, Rand on the rocks of Shale Ghul right before the final confrontation really, really just captured my mind's eye in a way that I couldn't not see that battle taking place based off of what I saw on the front cover there. I feel like that's the only time in the series really where the cover influenced what I saw in my mind while I was reading it, because it's just a stunning, stunning cover. I love his use of reds and blues in that cover. It's just so sharp, it pops just right off the page, and I can't get enough of it. And one for the Path of Daggers, that's really like a 1A, 1B almost for me. I love those two covers. They're just magnificent, just absolutely epic. Caught the closing moments of that story really, really well, I thought. Number 3 for me, this is The Eye of the World. Now look, Minnie Moraine aside, I think that this cover is just brilliant. I've heard so many people tell me that, the reason that they got in the series is because they saw that cover in the bookstore when they were younger and they could not keep going by without picking it up and giving it a read. And I can see why. It really is just a stunning cover. But it's not the first cover that I saw. That would be number 4, The Dragon Reborn. This was the first Wheel of Time cover that I ever saw in my brother's bedroom. I tell you guys all the time that brother was 6 years older than me. Whatever he read, I was like, okay, I'm going to read that because, you want to be like your older brother. And we had such a big gap in our age that that was basically my library, was all his fantasy books because, that's just the way that it worked, back in the Stone Age when I was a young man. But I always remember that cover because seeing Balzamon's face on there, just like glowing eyes. I'll never forget the staring at that and being like, what in the world is this? So when I actually finally did read it in 2019, it just felt like, hey, this is like something I've thought about for years before I ever read the series. And so it's just a cover. And I also think that's the first look you get of what the Aiel look like, and that's really something that I was never able to unsee as well. Very, very cool, because I was having a hard time differentiating them from the Fremen in Dune before I saw that image. So because I saw that image years ago, all I ever really looked at was Balzamon's face. I never really studied what was going on in the background very much, but yeah, seeing the Aiel on there for the first time, really, really cool. Next up at number 5, Rand, Never Missing Arm Day aside, I gotta say I love the cover for A Crown of Swords, getting to see Shadar Logoth, and again the use of blue in here, the blue and black is just so crisp. I love it. And it just, again, Shadar Logoth just looks just freaking awesome. And I love the eagle-headed Trolloc. Looks really, really wicked. But yeah, Rand, maybe not the best picture of Rand, but honestly, it's better than most of the artwork we've got of Rand. That basically makes him look like he's like 35 or something. So it didn't bother me a ton. But yeah, again, I just love that use of blue in that cover. It always just pops whenever I look at it. Number 6, we've got The Fires of Heaven. Now look, I think the character art is okay, but for me it was just getting to see Ruidian in the background. A lot of these ones here, I started to think I just can't get past the costuming that these characters are wearing is not what I pictured at all. Besides that IEL one that I was talking about, but a lot of the main cast, I see this costuming and it just looks, I don't know, it's just not what I imagined. So it's hard for me to actually get past that. But I started to notice that the backgrounds and, the lands that he drew were really, really good. And Ruidian here, really just something that looks almost like an M.C. Escher painting or something. I love it. Just magnificent looking. And yeah, I think that's the first time we got, is that the first time we got a look at the Ashendari? I think it is. I'm not really sure. It might be. Might not be. I don't even know if he has that on that one. I'm not sure. I should have held each one of these up, huh? But, I have a big gap back there. Number 7, I'm going with Shadow Rising. Again, characters are okay. But getting to see the Aiel wastes, that's a really cool feature. Again, these are things that help me imagine. Of course, I have my own imagination on what these things look, but I felt like it was a good starting point to get an idea of what they were really going for. And for what I feel like Sweet really missed with some of the characters, he really, really nailed on the landscapes. And here we got Shadar Logoth, we've got Ruidian, and now we've got the Aiel Waste. I think he's really just nailed all 3 of those. And yeah, this is where it kind of starts to go a little bit downhill, I think. But yeah, up to that point, I think they're all really impressive covers. The Great Hunt, I don't know. This would be, I guess, number 8 for me. Again, the costumes kind of get goofy. I mean, you look at Loyal here, and he just kind of looks like laughable. And Rand just holding the horn like, hey, But I don't know with this one. It's like I don't find enough with it to say that it's necessarily bad, so to speak. It's fine. It's okay. I think maybe my love for this book, this is my favorite Wheel of Time book. If you missed, I ranked all those Wheel of Time books. But this was my favorite in the whole series because I think it was the point where I said, okay, this isn't just a Lord of the Rings, Terry Brooks derivative kind of thing. This was doing its own thing. And it started with book 2, going really just completely out of nowhere. But that cover, I don't find enough wrong with it, as I find a lot wrong with the remaining ones here. Let's start with New Spring at number 9. I think this is basically Eye of the World the Lesser. It was very clear that he was trying to go for Eye of the World again. It just kind of missed the mark. Kind of hard to compete with the moon in the backdrop and the stars and the clouds and the what are they called, Dracker? I can't even remember. Can't remember how to pronounce some of this stuff. I've read too much since then. But yeah, it just I don't know. I felt like it could have been better. It wasn't necessarily bad. Just again, you look at it and all you can think of is the Eye of the World cover, and it doesn't compare at all. Number 10, everyone's favorite Wheel of Time book. That is Crossroads of Twilight. This is where I think the covers start to get pretty ho-hum before they just get laughable. I don't think that there's anything necessarily terrible about this one, but I don't think there's anything really memorable about it. At least my guy Tom finally got on a cover, so that's pretty cool. That's really the only thing I had to say about it. I was actually looking at the Crossroads of Twilight cover the other day, and I'm like, I'm not sure I know who all these characters are. You know, so if that's a scene that's actually in the book, I don't recall, because like a lot of the characters, I look at them and be like, okay, I'm pretty sure that this is this character and this is that, but I'm not sure they ever shared this scene together. So I don't necessarily know that that was actually a rule for the cover art, is it had to be a scene from the book. I mean, obviously it did, because Towers of Midnight at number 11, yeah, it basically is like, hey, here's a scene from the book I really like, so let me just draw that here. It also kind of feels like an alternate Crossroads of Twilight cover. It really does. It looks like it could be the thing, like you have Crossroads of Twilight and you flip it on the back, and that's the picture on the back almost. Obviously, it's not an event from that book, but I'm saying the art looks very much like the artist did it on the same day. That's really what it looks like to me. But again, nothing to where I think that those are absolutely terrible. Just, I don't have very much to say about them at all. The Gathering Storm, to me, at 12, and a lot of people might find that really, really low. I don't know what it is about it. It always just looked like Rand's arm was goofy. I feel like, you're kind of going like this, and this, and he's kind of like going like that. Who does this? But I mean, obviously that was a very, very big moment from that book. It just seemed like, this is a painting I already have. Let me just kind of rip a hole out of a wall back there and just say, hey, this is that scene from the book. So I don't know. I felt like it could have been done a lot better. And again, I think the arm is just drawn really, really weird. And look, I am not criticizing this artist very much because, look, I can't even draw a stick figure. So obviously, this is just something that I could never get past. I was like, it just looks weird. It looks like someone's actually like grabbing his arm and twisting it, and he's like, Oh, number 13. This is the Harlequin romance novel of Wheel of Time, and this is Lord of Chaos. I don't know what character they were reading about, because I never got the whole Fabio look for Rand. I don't know if this character or this artist at the time had just been looking at a lot of bodice ripper novels while he was checking out at the grocery store or what. But yeah, that cover is just... It's rough to not put it at the bottom, honestly. I know a lot of people usually do put it at the bottom. There is some good about it. Like, I do like the color usage. I do like... I don't know. Maybe I don't. I don't know. I'm just kind of like thinking about it in my head here. I can't think of what I really, really liked about that. So that would have been at the bottom if it wasn't for Hobbit Perrin. And Hobbit Perrin started with number 14 here. That is Winter's Heart. I don't know what book they were reading. I don't know if they were trying to make him look kind of wolfish. I gotta assume that's what Mr. Sweet was going for, was trying to make him look kind of like a wolf. But man, like I said, all I could see is Hobbit Perrin. And it's just like, I feel like they were trying to rope in some Lord of the Rings fans still this far into it. And it just, that didn't capture the look of Perrin at all. And it's just, it's kind of depressing because I feel like, while that was a point where I was still struggling with what George himself had done with Perrin, that didn't help. That didn't help very much at all. And so by now you've used your powers of deduction if you're a big wheelie here. And you know that my last is going to be my least favorite, which is Knife of Dreams. This is the culmination of Hobbit Perrin. Because, like, how do we do Hobbit Perrin but make it even worse? Let's make it look like he's about 50. I don't know what they were thinking with this. This is a scene in the book that is not that big of a moment for me. I don't know why that... There's so many great moments in Knife of Dreams. And I was like, this is really the scene you decided to go with? I used to think that Gull, I think it's Gull on the front of that, the redhead guy. I used to think that was supposed to be Rand. So that actually makes it a little better knowing that it actually is not Rand, because he looks like he's in his 30s, late 30s, maybe early 40s there. But it was cool to see Grady. I kind of wanted to see some of the Ashaman at the time. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, that's me trying really hard to find something redeeming about that. And guys, that's what I would put the Wheel of Time covers. I know everyone's kind of got their own rankings of this, obviously, but it always seems like this conversation is like either A Memory of Light or Path of Daggers is the best cover, or Eye of the World. And then all you ever hear more of is they talk about which one's the worst. So that's why I kind of said that's why I was going to kind of do it this way. Because, again, I know people don't like it. It's like that little brother thing. It's like, if it's your little brother, you're allowed to pick on it. But if anybody else does it, no, you're getting a knuckle sandwich, right? That's kind of how I feel about this, is everyone else is allowed to make fun of this. But when I do it, people get a little opinionated about it. But again, that's never going to stop me from talking about the Wheel, Lou Theron. So guys, How would you rank these? I want you to drop in the comments and let me know. And also, if you guys like this and you want more, I would love to talk about the ebook covers that started coming out in 2009, which are a lot better. Most of them are a lot better, especially Towers of Midnight. It's just an awesome one. So I'd love to talk about those if you guys want to hear more. So drop in the comments and let me know how you would rank these if you want to hear me talk about these things more. And I look forward to talking about the wheel again with you guys here in 2021.